Hello everybody! So here is Linda Delira again, and I'm here to open the Christmas month. So we are introducing December. We're entering in December. Today is the 6th of December 2015, and it's St. Nicholas Day. So a lot of children around the world are going to receive presents tonight and or the last night, I'm not sure. Anyway, St. Nicholas, and I thought to make a kind of Christmas edition, and I'm going to talk about the two types that are tradition seeking. So we know that tradition is attributed both in socionics and MBTI to interest sensing, and these two types are both interest sensing inferior, so interest sensing seeking. So we're talking about ENFP and ENTP. This kind of split, again, tends to be viewed as difficult to make, but is actually quite easy. So in this case, we're talking about a thinker versus a feeler. So thinker versus feeler edition, and let's try to make them friends because it's Christmas and we need to be all friendly. Where do I start? They're both extrovert intuition dominant. So our SI inferiors are extrovert intuition dominant, and as an extrovert intuition dominant, they see a bazillion of possibilities and a little more. So basically, their mind is focused on all these possibilities that they see all together, all at once. So whenever these two types are faced with whatever subject, whatever issue, they are going to see the situation from every possible corner you can come up with or you can't come up with. But basically what an extroverted intuition dominant type is capable of doing is seeing all the possibilities and all the possible potential possibilities in which a situation, from which a situation can be looked. There is an example that I like a lot when psychologists define the subject of perspective, and it's it's this example of the elephant and the three blind people. So we have a blind person that is placed in front of the elephant and is going to touch the nose. I don't know the word in English. Then there is another one that is going to be placed in front of a leg, and he's going to touch the leg. And another one is going to be placed in front of the belly, so he's going to touch the belly. And so the first one is going to describe the elephant as a long, thin thing that moves and is movable. And the second blind person is going to say, no, it's not true. Because what an elephant actually looks like is like this big thing that is stable and rock solid on the ground. It's kind of rounded and it's really, really solid. The third person is going to say, this elephant is not what you're saying. An elephant is not what you guys are talking about. An elephant is actually like a wall. It's rough and flat, and it has a very, very broad flat surface. So this is what happens a lot of the time in conversations, that people only see their personal perspective and they believe that the other person is wrong according to what they are seeing. And that's a very nice example about perspectives that we can borrow from general psychology that tells us what happens in a lot of debates. So as we can see, the problem here is that every person sees a different perspective. They all know and they all believe that they are right, and they are indeed right. But the complexity of the elephant is actually very different. ENFPs and ENTPs, being extrovert intuition dominant, have the ability to see all the perspectives all at once. So they're going to see the nose of the elephant, they're going to see the leg, they're going to see the belly, they're going to see the tail, they're going to see the rear legs, they're going to see the back from top, and they're going to be able to say which one of the blind persons is closer to the truth and why the person is closer to the truth. So here we start with the differences. An ENTP is going to point to the truthfulness of the situation. So the ENTP is going to say, okay, guys, you see a leg of the elephant. You instead, the last one is seeing the belly of the elephant, and the first guy is seeing the nose of the elephant. And therefore, all three of you are right about something, but the complexity of the elephant includes all three plus a bunch. That's what the ENTP is going to say, because TI sees things exactly as they are. So it's a very objective, although subjective function. So it is subjective because it looks at things from the point of view of the speaker. That's why we say subjective. It doesn't mean that it has a personalized way of viewing things, but it's the angle that the person chooses. So the ENTP can say, okay, the most important part of the elephant is actually the belly because it's the biggest part, and therefore it constitutes the body, the trunk of the elephant. Therefore, the last guy was the closest to the truth, but it's also true that there is a leg, and it's also true that there is a nose. Plus a bunch. And that's an ENTP. An ENFP, on the other hand, is going to say, I think that the nose of the elephant is the cutest thing, so the one that is the most right, according to me, is the guy that was seeing the nose of the elephant, and because that's the cutest thing of the elephant, I like that a lot. I think that it's attractive to me. Maybe that's some sort of a Freudian thing. But anyway, this ENFP is going to say that the nose of the elephant is the most attractive part of the elephant, and therefore, since it's the most attractive part of the elephant, they believe that that's the closest thing to describe an elephant. That's the distinctive trait of an elephant. But it's also true that elephants have bellies and legs, because otherwise it wouldn't be an elephant. So the ENFP is going to say, okay, the right thing is the nose, but everything else is also true plus a bunch. So that's how these two types view the external world and view reality. They have difficulties focusing about the real world in front of them. They are good at doing this kind of thing about abstract things, abstract thoughts that are not actually present in the actual reality in front of them. Because like we said in other videos and in other circumstances, ENFP, well, NE, extrovert intuition in general, is a function that tends to see what could potentially be rather than what is. So basically, that's what extrovert intuition does. It focuses on what could potentially be and not on what actually is. So back on track, ENFPs are extrovert thinking mobilized, so their hidden agenda, their secret dream is to become ESTJs. They strive to become ESTJs. They listen a lot to popular consensus and to the opinions of the mass. If you want an example, the way ENFPs normally proceed on MBTI boards to get typed or to come to a meaningful conclusion about functions and types, they normally start asking questions on the line of, what do you guys think about this function? What is this function? How is this function described? Then from that question, they're going to get the feeling and see what the Bandavagoning group is going to say about that. So what the group is going to say about that is going to be what the ENFP will consider true about that function. And consequentially, they will apply the function to themselves. So once they see that everybody believes that universal intuition is a bunch of guys jumping from roofs, if they know that they like jumping from roofs, they're going to be universal intuition types. That's how they work. And that's extrovert thinking, tertiary position. They also have this need to have their space, their their location, their group, their friends, so their turf, basically. That's a TE tertiary thing. ESFPs are also similar in this sense. Anyway, they need this kind of environment that belongs to them in a way. The last function I'm going to leave left to leave last. Then we have ENTPs. ENTPs instead are extrovert feeling tertiary. It means that their secret dream is to become ESFJs. They would want to be ESFJs. They strive to be ESFJs because extrovert feeling is being emotionally accepted from a community. So basically, meeting the emotional atmosphere, leaving an emotional atmosphere of joy and contentness and enthusiasm along with a group of people. That's extrovert feeling in tertiary position. So they tend to be goofy, they tend to make a lot of jokes, they tend to post a lot of memes. Their way to approach people is normally by making stupid, silly jokes, and that's their way to feel accepted and to try to become accepted. Another thing that I would like to say about the auxiliary functions, both auxiliary functions, the auxiliary function is always situational. So introvert feeling in ENFPs is situational, personal, subjective ethics. So it means that an ENFP can believe that this thing is completely utterly wrong right now, and in 10 minutes they will tell you, no, why? I didn't mean that it's utterly wrong in general. It can be right from this perspective, and they change perspective with extrovert intuition, and they give you another perspective, and that's situational subjective ethics. Whereas ENTPs are situational subjective logic. It means that they build a system, they build a logic. The moment that something from outside interferes and the system is not completely stable anymore, they can dispose of that system and create another one, or take the same system and fix it in a way that the new information incoming can actually be added to the system and can work within the system. So the auxiliary function is always situational and it's always disposable for every type. This is for every type. I learned it about ENFPs in particular, so that's why I mentioned it in this video. Last thing, they are both interest-sensing seeking. It means that they both need relaxation, they both need calm environment, and they tend to leave the external stimuli coming from the external world, they leave it in a way or another. So they have this physical reaction to anything surrounding them, but it is a completely subconscious function. It means that these types are the types that you see moving oddly on a chair and scratching themselves, and they're not even aware that they're actually scratching themselves, or that they're actually being itchy, or that they're being uncomfortable in that specific sweater or shirt or whatever the hell it may be. They do not realize it. It's not rational. For them, their physical sensations are completely subconscious, and they strive to fix themselves in that sense. So they need help from the external, from someone else, to make them realize that something is wrong. Like, for example, if you see an ENFP doing this kind of movement, you may want to tell them you're probably wearing something that is scratchy or that is itchy or that is causing you issue at the back, or you're probably in a position that you should change and stuff like that, because they need to be told. They need to be told. ENFPs and ENTPs both need this kind of help from the external environment, and that actually helps them become aware of these things. Like, for example, I know an ENTP that used to wear this shirt that she liked a lot. It's an ENTP girl, and she used to wear this shirt that she absolutely loved because it looked cute, and she loved this shirt. But every time she was wearing that shirt, something was going wrong around her for some reason, and the evening was not good. So she started thinking that it was something revolving around some sort of doom that that shirt was having on it. Until some friend of mine came out and walked to her and told her, look, that shirt has things thought here that actually make them feel tight. So it's likely that the reason why you're actually living so bad evenings is that you're feeling itchy or anyway uncomfortable due to those things that the shirt has here. And I say that because I see you, the way you move and the way you feel, you touch yourself, you constantly scratch in that position. So it's likely that the problem is not that the shirt is doomed, but it's that the shirt actually has something that makes you feel physically uncomfortable. From that moment on, that friend became aware of that thing. She looked at my friend with big eyes, and she looked at her arms and realized that she was itching like crazy in the arms. And from that moment on, she decided that she wouldn't wear that shirt anymore. So this is intersensing seeking, intersensing inferior. Basically, they're living hell from a physical point of view, and they don't even know why. I can't even imagine what it feels like. It must be horrifying. It must be really horrible. I too have a very weak sense of my intersensing as an INFJ, but having it unvalued, it's more difficult for me to actually focus on that kind of thing. I wouldn't have my evening spoiled because of a shirt that feels itchy, for example. But this friend of mine does. And that's because of intersensing seeking. ENFPs are kind of similar, and that's why you end up seeing all of these ENFPs and ENTPs wearing hippie stuff and very big shirts and big stuff, and that's because it's more comfortable. It's less likely that that kind of garment will make them feel physically uncomfortable. And that's also why we see a lot of ENTP and a lot of ENFP with clothes in weird positions, and they don't even realize that it's happening. That's because they do not feel the feeling of the garment on their skin, of the clothes on their skin, and therefore they have zero control over this area of themselves, and they need someone from external to fix that for them. This is more or less everything I have. I tried to eliminate all of the unvalid functions just to clarify a little bit and make things clearer and hopefully shorter, but it didn't work. So this is everything I have about the matter. I hope it helped, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, and happy December and happy St. Nicholas.